This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Millennials, adulting, and real estate. Our next guest is going to share how this demographic is affecting our market.
Today we're talking about my radio show on ESPN that is called Adulting 101.
Please welcome from the Avenue Home Collective, Melissa Sofia.
She is. Melissa Sofia is back in the house. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. Love it.
A question for you about adulting,
Yes.
because I don't know what that means, but I know you host the show, Adulting 101.
I
so
do.
You teach people how to adult.
That's what we're
Maybe
working
you
on.
can teach me what adulting means.
Okay. First step of adulting, definition.
Yeah.
Yes, Adulting 101 is my new show on ESPN Radio. It's super fun. Adulting, much like parent and parenting, adult was kind of reborn into a verb in recent years. It actually was nominated for Word of the Year last year.
The word adult was nominated for Word of the Year?
Adulting.
Adulting.
Yes.
Okay.
The new
Interesting.
development in the word adult. And a lot of people when they talk about adulting, they're referring to just grown-up responsibilities in general, holding a full-time job, paying a mortgage, bills, just responsibilities.
Sounds boring.
It's terrible.
So what's your show about? Because I know you're not boring.
When I'm talking about adulting in the realm of the radio show, what we're talking about is the study of financial literacy. And what our show seeks to do is kind of help people navigate the world of adulting in preparation and moving towards sound investing and just getting their lives together for things like home ownership, debt management, understanding how credit works and loans. I think that there is not a lack of information necessarily out there on the subject, but when it comes to Googling one of these topics, how to eliminate student loan debt, you're going to come back with hundreds of websites that are lead generation websites, forums. You're basically going to sift through just heaps of useless banter until you come across just a little bit of helpful information. So what we're seeking to do with the radio show is to actually bring information in the language that people understand in a fun way and kind of bring those answers directly to the listeners.
Okay. Get your wallet right.
Yes.
Keep your game tight.
I keep right. Exactly. See, you're adulting.
That's adulting. Yes, I knew I could get this
Oh
down.
man, yeah, it's pretty fun. It was actually born out of an authentic conversation I was having with my executive assistant, Kayla. She's my Yes.
Oh, hi.
She's
Hey,
look at
Kayla.
she's adulting right now.
She's adulting right now. Social media
See,
right
social media. She's directing my social media for my business, and yeah, we had a real conversation about how she had not really. She's a quintessential millennial, like to the T, and we had talked about how this home ownership thing wasn't necessarily a priority for her, and I really started to ask her a lot of questions why that was, and I was trying to understand, what was her hesitation about it all. So we got into a discussion about how old she was when, the market crashed. And it was really interesting to hear because after years and years of talking to so many people about how the economy was booming and then the bubble hit and everything fell apart, it was surprising to hear how it affected her and, the millennial generation in general in kind of such a traumatic way. And I think that, noting what happened in her brain really clicked with me, and it made me understand that there was a whole sea of people out there who had been through this experience in the market crash and experiencing the Great Recession, who didn't quite know how to recover or to find the information that they needed to understand how to navigate the world now after that happened.
Let's talk about this, millennials, because people say millennial all the time. I mean, who are these millennials, and why should we care
It's such an enigma.
about these millennials? And are they adulting enough if they're not buying houses? I guess that's another question.
It's a good question. Well, millennials, it's just the generation following Generation X. So millennials, they're generally people who are born near the early 80s all the way through the early 2000s. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's, you know, it's a wide age demographic, and I think a lot of people want to think it's just the people in their 20s, and that's not the case. Really though, millennials, it's very anti-millennial to succumb to a label. So you have to understand that it's more.
They hate it.
Yeah, well, we hate it. We're actually millennials. Did you know?
Just barely. I don't claim that set though.
Don't claim it.
No.
Don't claim it. See, look at how millennial that is of you. I mean, right there.
So millennial.
It's so millennial
to not
of you
claim
to
my
reject
millennial
the label.
status.
Yeah. You're doing it right now. You're being a millennial right now. But it's true. It really is more of a state of mind, and if you can relate to some of these point of views, and it doesn't have to be all the way around. It's just an age demographic describing where we are and what part of society we've kind of.
But people talk about millennials like they're this group that are marching lockstep and doing certain things and whatnot. I mean, how do you see, can you do that? I mean, can you say something about millennials and the effect that they're going to have on
absolutely.
The San Diego marketplace, or what changes they're making or causing you to have to make in your own market?
Sure. Well, here's the thing. Millennials are a quarter of the U.S. population right now. And, on top of that, they're 21% of the consumer industry. So this is a really big piece of the pie, and it's only going to grow as time goes on. So it's very important to pay attention to what millennials think, what they want, what they do. And there are a lot of analysts out there who are saying millennials are going to be renting more versus owning because of the fears and the anxieties that we were talking about. So with Adulting 101, what we're trying to do is kind of ease those worries and bring answers to the table in a language that they understand, because there's just nobody in this industry that's speaking to this entire generation of people.
Do you have to tweet it so that they get it?
Yeah, you do.
Is that what it is?
You not necessarily
Snapchat
tweet,
it.
but like Snapchat it, Facebook it, Instagram it. I mean, but in reality, it's funny, but it's so true that finding the buyers and sellers of today, which millennials are half of the home buyers today.
Seriously?
Seriously. It's what we've been quoted.
That sounds like a scary situation. Put a lot of eggs in the millennial basket.
It's a lot of eggs in the millennial basket. It's true. But finding the home buyers today means getting online. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That is where the home buyers and sellers of today live, millennial or not. It is no longer the world of flyers and bus benches. We are definitely in an age where people are online. I mean, the millennial generation they're bringing a deeply researched background to the home buying process, and they're online finding open houses, they're using their vast social network, and then they're accessing real estate professionals once they've already kind of known, what neighborhoods do we want to live in, what kind of home do we want to live in. Generally,
so they're more hands-on.
They're a lot more hands-on, and they're well educated. And what's important to them, and a lot of this generation in general, is that the person that they work with understand them, and that we get them. So it's very important for me to have a cutting edge, to be on the cutting edge of technology and just have a presence online, because when they get to know me and the way that I do business, that's when they understand that they want to buy a home with the Avenue. So
I think I'm too old fogey. Like, I think if I was in your position, because I would call someone and then they would not answer and then text back right away, so what do you need?
Right.
To me, that's a
Pretty sure
millennial
I've done that.
action.
I'm
You
pretty
know
sure
what
I've
I'm
done
saying?
that to you.
So it's to me, I'm a little old school in that regard. Want to talk on the phone. Millennials don't want to talk on the phone for the most part.
Well, see, what's really interesting is even though you think that phone calls, voicemails, it is a little more, a thing of the past, as weird as it is to say, but millennials actually expect a quicker turnaround time, a quicker response time than the baby boomer generation and Generation X. I think it was like 56% of millennials believe that they should hear back from their agent within a matter of hours, whereas baby boomers and Generation X, they are a little more forgiving. You know, it's more like 40% and 30% are expecting to hear back within hours and just expecting to hear back that day. So it's definitely a text generation, and that's why I think being online and for me, the Avenue, we provide things like, we have an app where our home buyers can access open houses, they can schedule showings without even texting me or calling me. It just shows up in my calendar. This person wants to go see this house at this time. And I can schedule the appointment with the home seller before I ever even communicated directly with my client. So yes, you almost feel like it's non-communication, but it's actually quicker communication.
I like it. Millennials, listen up. If you're trying to buy a house, buy from one of your own.
That's right.
Melissa Sofia, thank you so much for being here. Really
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Temperatures in San Diego are going to cool down and our homes are going to heat up. So our next guest is here to discuss how we can prepare for the winter.
I have a lot of great information today about fire safety and how to protect yourself and what to watch out for, especially with regards to heating systems.
Please welcome the owner of the real estate inspection company, Philippe Heller.
There he is, Mr. Philippe Heller. How you doing, brother?
Always glad to be here.
Great to have you. Very popular segments that you've been doing on the show. We appreciate all of your insight and input. People really like this stuff. It's practical, usable stuff in your everyday life that most people don't think about. Today we're talking about the unheard of, the mystical San Diego winter.
Right.
Which, we don't think about it much in San Diego. It's 75 and sunny every day. And even in the winter, I mean, December, it's still nice out.
Right.
But it gets a lot cooler in the evenings. It gets cold. It does get cold. Maybe I'm a wuss now, but it gets cold. So people use things like space heaters, fireplaces, stuff like that. Today you've got some tips for us on that stuff.
Yeah, in doing the research, even I was surprised by some of the findings. I went to the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association, and they compiled data over the years of fires and what causes them and all sorts of different aspects of fires. And I was surprised by some of the findings, even though I've been in home inspection business for over 12 years and I've seen a lot of stuff. And you're exactly right. In San Diego, we have a different perception. Our winters are really short. Nobody ever sweeps their chimney. Nobody thinks about their water heater or their fireplace as a possible fire hazard. And we just use them. We expect them to work when we turn them on, and they can be a big source of fires in the winter.
Right. So what are some of the things that, there's other things that cause fires. There's furnace fires too. Furnaces. There was a big recall, wasn't there, on furnaces?
Exactly, yes. A huge recall in the 80s, and we can talk about this for a whole show if we wanted to, but the summary is that in the late 70s, there was a big push to have furnaces burn cleaner. And so a company called Consolidated Industries made a furnace that had these little rods in them called NOx rods that were to act like a catalytic converter in the car. When they heated up, they reduced the nitrous oxide, and it was supposed to have cleaner emissions. The problem is those little bars that were right above the flame would become very brittle over time, just like an old barbecue grill. And eventually they started breaking off and dropping through the bottom of the furnace and setting houses on fire. So it's very important if you have a house that was built between, let's say, 83 and 1994, to have your furnace checked and make sure if you have a horizontal furnace up in the attic, make sure that it wasn't one of these recalled furnaces, which is a huge fire hazard.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about what is actually causing the fires out there. I think you also said that space heaters are a big deal when it comes to house fires.
Yeah, believe it or not, the number one source of house fires is cooking. People walk away from a pot, they forget about it, they go walk the dog, they're cooking something and it boils down, or they heat up some oil because they want to fry some, something for dinner, and they forget about it while it's heating up, and it overheats and can catch on fire. Or a lot of people still make the mistake, and you see this every year at Thanksgiving with those huge turkey fryers, where somebody tries to put something that's frozen into a pot of hot oil. And what happens is the water turns to steam. And when water turns to steam, it increases 1,600 times. 1,600 times. That's why water heaters can explode if they don't have a proper release on it. But people put a frozen piece of food in, or a whole turkey in a pot of hot oil, and it immediately, all the moisture expands and pushes that oil out, and when it hits the flame, it can catch on fire. And the number one cause of fires in a house is cooking. Number two is heating equipment, whether it's your furnace, whether it is your fireplace, even a water heater is considered heating equipment. But the number one source of fires when you just consider heating equipment is a space heater. Little electric space heaters like this cause the most fires when people are trying to heat their house.
And how does that happen? Is it just because they're putting it too close to the couch, or is it an actual electrical issue because there's so much drain on the electricity?
Yep, excellent point. Mostly because people put it too close to combustibles, whether it's curtains, whether it's near a bed, a pile of clothing, people put it in there. And the problem is people kind of rely on these to heat a big area, and they're not really intended to heat a big area. What happens when you do that is it never turns off. And the constant electrical draw will overheat the wires. So a lot of the fires are caused by setting something on fire that's combustible in front of the heater. But very often it's, especially with older electrical systems, the wires overheat and it causes an electrical fire.
Very interesting. Now, when we are using furnaces, fireplaces, things like that, I've heard that it might increase. We need to check our smoke detectors, first of all.
Yes.
To make sure if we're going to be using these things, we're going to create fires, controlled fires in the house, we should probably check the smoke detectors, right?
It's a good idea, of course. And starting in the 80s when smoke detectors became a required item in a house, since that time, a lot of people are resistant to putting smoke alarms or smoke detectors in a house. They just think, oh, it's government regulation, and I agree, it's our home, and get out of my, don't tell me what to do. But just like your car has a lot more safety features than they used to, smoke detectors do work, and the proof is in the statistics. And I did the research for you, and if anybody's interested in doing this research, we'll post a link on our website at sdinspect.com so you can pull these reports out. We'll link to these. But the deaths from house fires has dropped to less than half of what it used to be in the 80s, and a lot of that is attributed to the fact that there are smoke alarms, which allow people to be alerted to the fire and get out of the house in time to save their life.
Yeah, so if you're going to be starting fires in the house, or if you're going to be using heating elements in the house, really anytime, double check your smoke detectors, but especially before that season comes around.
Yep, and there's two things to think about. Most fires in a house from this kind of stuff, the biggest months for that are December, January, and February, when it's cold, and equipment that hasn't been cleaned, it's been sitting around, there's soot, soil, dust, dirty filters. That's when we have the most fires from heating equipment. And then also in the evening hours and first thing in the morning, that's when most fires occur, because that's when people are either turning on the heat at night before they go to bed or when they first get up. So you want to make sure that all this equipment is clean as we move into winter. Make sure it's in good working order, and you'll reduce the risk. And then again, make sure your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are in good working order so that you and your children, if you have children in the house, have a better chance to survive if a fire should start in the house.
Brought another prop in here today.
Yes.
An important one. We're talking about fire here. The first line of defense.
That's right. You are the first line of defense in protecting your house. And if you do have a kitchen fire, for example, or any fire in the house, you smell smoke, you have a fire in the fireplace and a log rolls out onto the carpet, you need to be prepared to act even before you call 911, because depending on where you live, that could be 10 minutes before somebody shows up. And by that time, your house can be fully engulfed in flames. Get a fire extinguisher. They're inexpensive, super easy to use. Pull that pin, even a child can use them. And it's a great way to get control while the fire is still small, because once it starts to spread, your house is probably going to be a loss.
I would say right now, if you don't know where your fire extinguisher is, like you know you have one, but if you can't tell me exactly where it is, figure that out today.
Or if it's a few years old. Don't just rely on this little meter here, because they get stuck, and especially on the residential units, this isn't commercial, they're not as good. I would say if it's more than 2 or 3 years old, go ahead and buy another one. You're not required in a house to have your fire extinguishers checked like a commercial location. Those have to be checked every couple of years. Your home one may be dead. Just go buy a new one. You know, they're usually $20 or so. Go buy a few, spread them around the house, keep them accessible, and it's really a wise thing to do.
Great stuff. Let's go to the exterior. I know you have strong feelings about gutters.
Yes.
As an inspector, you guys inspect hundreds of homes every month, and you've seen everything that you can possibly see. I follow you on Facebook, so I see the photos. Tell me about gutters, what people need to do with those.
Well, in my opinion, it should be in the building code. I think even in California that rain gutters should be required, and they're not. And we have very little rain, you know, relatively to the rest of the country. But when we do, it seems to be concentrated, and we get a heavy runoff. And what rain gutters do is they take all that water that collects on your roof, that big area of your roof, and concentrates right next to your house. That water pours down. If you have a 2-story house, it's exacerbated because it really splashes back on your house. If you have a raised foundation, all that water can collect and make its way under your house. Rain gutters are inexpensive to put in, relatively. You know, usually a few hundred, maybe $1,000 for a house. Put in a good set of custom rain gutters, not cheap ones that you buy and kind of piece together. And what it does is it collects that water and directs it away from your house. And it can protect your French doors, the wood trim on the side of your house, and the crawl space if you have one, and keep the water out.
You know, something I don't even notice. I think most people probably don't even notice looking at other people's homes. Like, so you're telling me there's a lot of houses out there that don't have rain gutters?
Oh, tons, yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I would estimate that probably more houses don't have rain gutters in California than those that do have rain gutters. And remember, if you have any trees, they get clogged. You need to get them cleaned. If you're not comfortable doing that, getting up on a ladder, there are contractors who go out and clean rain gutters, and now's the time to do it before the heavy rains.
Wow. That's amazing to me, because you really think about it's such a simple device that can do so much good for you. I mean, you definitely do not want all that water piling up right up against your house.
Correct.
Nothing good can come from that.
Correct.
Wow. So let's talk about the roof then too, because this is something that comes up a lot, especially when it starts raining, which it's recently rained quite a bit.
Yes.
And people start to notice things. Oh, there's a little leak, or there's a little this, little that. What should people be looking at for roofs this winter?
Well, again, if you have any trees around your house that are hanging over your house, you may want to consider having the branches trimmed back, and for a couple reasons. One is you never want the branches to rub against the roofing material from the wind, because that will eventually wear out your roof, especially if you have an asphalt shingle roof or something like that. But also, it's the number one way that rodents can get up on your roof, and raccoons and whatnot, and they crawl up and they get on your roof, and you don't want that. But in regards to winter, you want to just take a visual look at your roof, do the math. We have other articles on our blogs about the age of a roof. How old is your roof? When do you need to get it replaced? You know, it's different if you have a tile roof versus an asphalt shingle roof, and there are different quality of asphalt shingle roof. So it's important to know the age of that and when you should consider having it repaired or even replaced.
Okay, so know the age of your roof.
Clean it.
Clean it, take a look at it. If you have trees that are,
Overhanging
or touching the roof especially, look to make a change there, or make some trimming. Do a little trim job. I like the idea of just keeping the rodents off the house, because they're going to smell food.
Yep.
So
or just look for a dry place to stay for the winter, just like we do. They like a nice warm house.
They do the same
thing. They'll go right in your attic.
Philippe, thank you so much for your time today again, my friend.
Always.
Amazing stuff. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guests are going to discuss Measure C and what it could mean for our city.
It's just going to be a positive all the way around. So vote yes on Measure C, and how it's not going to really affect them negatively.
I just want to make it clear, Team Manzon and Jason Paulington with Pure Mortgage, we support Measure C Go Chargers. But more importantly, this is a win for San Diego.
Please welcome real estate expert Anthony Manzon and senior loan advisor for Pure Mortgage, Jason Pollington.
All right, there they are.
We're
The
here.
breakdancing realtor. Pure Mortgage is in the house. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for
Good to have you guys here. This topic, obviously, right here around this ballot time, election time, time to vote.
Yep.
It's time to vote for the Chargers to stay and go big,
Yeah.
Right.
or to leave them hanging out on a limb,
Boo.
right? Measure C.
Team Manzon supports the Chargers.
That's
Let's
right.
just say that right now.
Measure C, right?
Measure C.
Which basically, correct me if I'm wrong, is basically just a tax on tourists who
Right.
stay at hotels.
Absolutely.
I don't pay a dime. San Diegans don't pay a dime.
Nope.
And that builds the
4%
whole
increase.
thing.
That's it.
It builds the whole stadium, the whole expansion, all that. The bonds get paid off with that tax.
Yep.
Comes straight from the hotels. Why would anyone vote no on this? Unless you're a straight up hater. You know?
That's the
only
only reason.
the only Raiders fans and stuff that live here. Those are the people voting no.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
is the only reason. I mean, hotels, the only people that are paying it, 4% increase on taxes for people who stay in hotels. How many San Diegans stay in hotels in San Diego? When's the last time you stayed in a hotel in San Diego?
It's been a while. It's been a
I don't
while.
think I ever even have. Have you, Derek?
I have once.
You have one?
For sure. I stayed in downtown.
Okay, but that was
Like from
like,
Del Mar, like the downtown, for
Yeah.
a birthday.
yeah.
Staycations every once in a while, but
But it's like, you're not paying that continuous tax. It's mostly for the tourists who come here to stay. They're the ones paying it.
Right. And they don't vote. So everyone should vote yes on Measure C.
absolutely.
Basically,
Absolutely.
there's no reason not to. Support the Chargers, support downtown.
Yep.
And think about all the things that would change if this were to pass. I mean, right off the bat, if we find out November 9th or whenever they're finished tallying it up, hey, Measure C passed. Think
Right.
about the excitement.
That's gonna be cool.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Huge. I mean, if we were winning a lot, if we had a winning season, this last win was huge. But if we had a winning season or if we're a winning team, it would be a lot easier to pass for sure. But we
Think
needed
so?
we needed 2/3 vote. Yeah, I mean, you know what they say about San Diegans, fair
weather.
weather fans,
Yeah.
But I mean, this has a lot to do with property, homeowners, investors. It's going to increase your property value.
That's
I mean,
true.
People that stay in hotels, if their tax goes up 4%, it'd be a little bit more beneficial for them to maybe go on VRBO or Airbnb and stay in a condo downtown or a loft or something like that, and or anywhere in downtown.
That's true. You make a couple good points. Let's go down that trail, because first thing I'm thinking is if that passes, there's going to be a race to buy downtown real estate.
Oh
Heck
yeah.
yeah.
Smart money will start sniffing around down there for sure in East Village.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well, that'll complete our Gaslamp quarters as a sports facility too. You got the Padres, you got Chargers, and Gaslamp in general. I mean, it's just
it'll become a big sports scene,
absolutely.
which will be attractive to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because right now, Qualcomm is just sort of out on an island. I mean, it's just sort of,
Yeah.
by itself over there.
Right.
We don't really get any residual value. I mean, it's not like the condos, on Friars are selling for more because Qualcomm's right there.
Yeah.
It's just not really a big selling point. But if you go ahead and you take that facility and that whole purpose and all those events that take place there, and you move it down to that downtown area, now all of a sudden all those businesses can get something from it. They can get
Oh,
some
yeah.
beneficial overlay, some spillover of all the people being down there into those businesses. So I think the city wins big time there because they're getting taxed on every dollar that goes through every one of those businesses. Those businesses win big time. It all of a sudden becomes a much better spot to live.
Yeah,
Yep.
property owners in East Village, yeah, they're definitely
Huge.
benefiting. I mean, let's say, for instance, this is just worst case scenario. Tourists coming in, they're coming into San Diego, they're seeing the hotel tax, and they're like, oh no, I don't want to stay because this 4% increase. They're
What,
gonna go look
$5,
for, yeah,
$10?
$5, $10. That's worst case scenario. They're gonna go to the Airbnbs, the VRBOs in the neighborhood. And for the people that own those, that creates more consistency for them to have their properties rented out. So from like an investor standpoint, it benefits them as well.
Yeah, another reason to own in the area or in the
Yeah.
vicinity,
Yeah.
because you could just go right to it. Now, some of those condo complexes are tougher to do the VRBO thing with, but there's also in the area now, and you talk about Barrio Logan, is an area that's coming up.
Oh yeah, Chicana Park area. They're
That comes in, the stadium comes in, and look out over there.
Yeah.
they're gonna finish restoring that area. It will do so much. It'll have a trickle effect on all of San Diego. And then the Chargers already said that if there's any more additional expense, it's not going to come from our general fund at all. The chargers are going to cover anything above and beyond what that 4% hotel tax increase is gonna cover. So so it's literally a no-brainer for San Diegans, and if you're thinking about buying or selling or purchasing at all in the downtown area or in San Diego, now is the best time to do it. It's just,
especially some of those buildings that are in litigation, where you get an additional discount.
Oh yeah.
To the price for them being in litigation. But then now we might get this news, like M2I is one, for example. I believe the mark is in litigation or just out, but I think they're still in there. So you have some of the best buildings in East Village are in litigation right now, which means that financing is more difficult. You need more of a down payment, so a lot of buyers, it causes prices to suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
But then we get this great news, that the circus is coming to town for good.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you couple those two things together. It's a perfect opportunity for an investor to step in.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely. There's probably I'd say 10% of my coworkers and staff are either buying right now in downtown or looking for an investment property. So that tells you, something's going on. Everybody can feel it. We can sense it. I feel like I have a pretty good feeling, or I have my finger on the pulse in this market, ever since 2007, 2008, when the market started to shift and you could see the downfall. I mean, I could feel something going on. I have the same feeling, but
In the other
with
direction.
the other way, the other way around. I know this is a solid market. I mean, because everybody's qualified. You can only afford or buy what you can afford. You have to show proof of your income. You have to have a decent credit score. You have to have some kind of a down payment. So this is not a market built on a stack of cards. It's a solid foundation. So I feel something like this is going to just continue to spark it, just build. And it's just a great opportunity.
Well, downtown's already blown up anyway. Like, take this out, and it's still
Absolutely.
a good place to look.
Yeah. This is just going
invest.
to add that.
You put that in there, it's a no-brainer. That passes, it's a no-brainer. So there's going to be a
No-brainer.
rush. I think there's going to be a rush.
Yeah.
And think about all of the, young professionals who like sports, who want to be in that type of environment. I mean, it's probably going to push a lot of people over the edge too. People forget that there are a lot of hardcore Chargers fans out there, because you hear about the fair weather Chargers fans so much, like me.
True.
Like, I'm a fair weather Chargers fan, right? Like I just can't watch.
It's hard. It's hard sometimes.
The field goal, that one,
Oh.
that one was the one for me this year that took me away.
Really?
That one took me away. Yeah, because I'm a fair weather Chargers fan. I'm from Missouri. I'm not from here.
True.
You guys are hardcore Chargers fans, right? There's a lot of
Born and
guys
raised.
like you out there.
Yeah.
Born and raised Chargers fan. And there's a lot of that too. But right now, there's no way to really like live that. Put them downtown, now you can live it.
Yeah, it's your lifestyle now.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
If it's part of your lifestyle, you can live it. I think there's gonna be a lot of people who want to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just alone in the past, I would say 2 weeks, I had 2 clients specifically reach out to me and say, hey, I'm looking for a property. What do you think is a good choice? Because I want to do an Airbnb or a VRBO. Where are you looking for? And it's like, I don't even think they even thought about, the whole Charger Stadium, and they just want it because that's an upcoming business right
Yeah.
now. That is so easy. Any homeowner can do it. You just buy a property, and this, VRBO and Airbnb manage the property for you. And I mean, it's a win-win for everybody, and that's just gonna. I feel like those businesses will get even bigger, once the Charger Stadium is approved and everything. So.
Yeah, well, that's been popping off for the last few years here, right? Just keeps increasing in San Diego. There's so much tourism. There's so many people coming here, and not everyone wants the hotel experience.
Yeah.
Some people want to live. You go to a neighborhood, North Park, or they want to stay in one of these little
Absolutely.
areas and just kind of get
They want to
entrenched
see
in
what
it.
San Diego's all about, and a lot of people are, I think nowadays is more than ever, people are more health conscious too. They don't want to, people are wanting to prepare their meals instead of going out to eat every night, and that's what you have to do if you stay in a hotel as well. Everything is just going, downtown is just, there's so many good things going on right now. And I think the only thing that they need after this is done is have some kind of dock on the harbor where you can actually get a little gondola or a little boat and just park it instead of, because obviously the parking is going to be a mess. the traffic's going to be worse than it is now. And so they need to have some kind of an alternative way for people to get there by ferry rides and stuff like that.
I'll just parachute in. You know?
That'd be awesome.
That's the best way to do it.
Have you guys ever been on the harbor though, on the boat? On
Sure.
a boat? It's just at night.
It's epic.
It's just
Epic.
so. I mean,
too.
it's just.
It's epic.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Well, let's do first things first. Let's get Measure C
Yes.
passed. So let's
Yeah,
say
absolutely.
yes on C. Let's get first things first done. Let them figure out how to handle the traffic. You know, this is, they're building this. The good thing about downtown San Diego is it's a new downtown. So they built it well. They have the one-way streets. They've really designed it well.
Yeah.
Let's let them do their thing.
Absolutely.
But for now, let's get
Focus.
Measure C passed. I don't care if you're a fair weather
Yes
Chargers fan
on
like me,
C.
if you're a die-hard Chargers fan like these guys. Yes on C. It's gotta be.
The only thing that we really need is we need a 2/3 vote. So everybody needs to get in on this.
All hands on deck.
There's really no negative effect on us as San Diegans. And even like you said, even if you're not a Charger fan, even if you're a fair weather fan or a fan from, a diehard fan somewhere else, but you're here, you live here, you have a San Diego zip code, they need to vote yes on C. It's going to improve our economy by at least 2.1 billion, create 15,000 new jobs, and it's going to make our city even that much more awesome, if that makes sense.
I'm calling on Raider fans, Bronco fans,
Yep.
Patriots fans who are all
Right.
over the place here. Hey, listen, we may not win Super Bowls. Can you give us a stadium, please? Can you all just, if you're residents, can you just help us get a stadium?
Let's get
At
it.
least,
Yep.
Yes.
at least let us get a stadium.
That's all we're asking for.
That's all we want. We don't need rings. We're not even talking about rings. We're talking about a stadium.
We'll have a Super Bowl here every 4 years, so whatever team you like, if they make it, hey,
They
you
might come
got a
in.
front
Be
row
convenient
seat.
for you.
Exactly.
You know, think about that. All right,
I think it's
fellas.
about San Diego.
Appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in. Yes on C. It's
Yes.
got to be. Stick around for more Smarter
Yes on
San Diego
C.
TV. We're guaranteed to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Welcome to the Real Estate Debate, where we debate the hottest topics in San Diego real estate. Let's meet today's panelists. Guest number 1, Mike Aquari, broker and top agent in East County for Realty Executive. Guest number 2, David Serpa, owner and team leader for David Serpa Homes team. And guest number 3, Chris McCullough, realtor for Kim Steele and Associates. And now, your host, Derek Evans.
All right, fellas, welcome to the Real Estate Debate
Thanks.
for television. Great to have you all here,
Thank you.
especially David, first time here.
Especially me.
Mike, first time here. Chris is an old grizzly veteran. He was born for this stuff. So it's great to have you guys here for the first
Thank
time.
you.
So just the fellas today, talking about the hottest topics in San Diego real estate. We got 2 topics on the table, one for buyers, one for sellers.
Sure.
We'll ask whether you agree or disagree with the statement that I give you,
Okay.
and then tell us why. All right, so let's jump right in. Topic number 1. If interest rates go up in December, as many people expect, a lot of chirping going on about interest rates going up in December, this will cause property values to go down. Therefore, I should sell my house now before it loses value. Chris.
I 100% disagree. Well, and it's a hard one because it really depends, in my opinion, on where the person stands at that moment. But I disagree. In fact, I remember last December, interest rates, they're going to go up. They went down. I think it's going to happen again. I think interest rates are going to go below 3%.
Really?
But I do. I deeply do. And I've done a lot of research. I don't think we have enough time on this episode to talk about that, but I think they're actually going to go down. But let's say they did. Let's say interest rates did go up. And would it really drive the housing market prices down? What we have here is an inventory issue in most of the markets throughout San Diego, and I don't think that's going to be the case. And even if it does, I remember when interest rates, when they hit 6%, oh man, I'm going to buy, buy.
Yep.
Okay, so they go up to 4% or 5%. Is it really that earth-shattering?
That's the question.
Right.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't.
the question.
I don't think it is, and I think it comes down to if somebody wants to sell, they're going to sell. If you want to hold out, I still think we have about a good 2-year run, and you want to gain that appreciation, I'd ride it out.
Okay. He says write it out. David, where are you at on this?
I tend to disagree with you a little bit here, and I guess that's why it's a good thing that we're on the debate show. But I tell everybody we don't have a crystal ball. Everything is just speculation, and so what we have right now is we're in an election year. And nothing really can affect home prices like consumer confidence. And I think that when you've got 50% of the people talking about leaving the country if their guy doesn't win, and I'm not going to get too political here, but if Hillary Clinton ends up getting elected, I think in the short term, I think that would be good for real estate. Whereas if Donald Trump is elected, maybe in the long term it's good for real estate, but it's bad in the short term. And so I think that that's more something to look at. But that being said, exactly like what you said, interest rates. Everybody was expecting them to go. All these lenders are saying, you have to buy now, because interest rates are going to skyrocket. And what happened? They went up about a blip, and then they plummeted. And then you had the same lenders that were telling people that they had to buy now, refinancing their own homes. Mm-hmm. So interest rates stayed down all year. I don't think that they're going to raise them right before the election. I think that would be catastrophic for the home values. But that being said, I do think it's a good time to sell. I don't think that there's any way to know what the election is going to do to home values. And I do think that interest rates are going to go up in probably January or so of next year. And I don't think that they're going to keep them where they are. But even if they do go up,
they have to go up. I mean, honestly, interest rates have to go up.
Well,
when you look at the GDP and how it's based, they have to go up.
We have to prepare for the next recession. And in order to get your way out of a recession, historically they bring interest rates down. And where we are right now, we can't afford to bring interest rates down. But it's not working
anymore. And I think that's the thing. They're hoping that by decreasing, it's going to spur the market. And if you looked, the GDP used to be huge when it came to real estate because it touches so many facets. Hasn't spurred it. Still isn't driving people to sell.
Yeah.
Right?
But they still have to reload the gun, though. I mean, the Fed still has to reload the gun.
Right. But
they got to put those bullets back in the clip.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And they have to adjust the interest rates. The challenge is, right now they have QE3 that's been injected into the market, which is an artificial stimulant to the market in order to attribute for all of that extra spending that we've done over the last 13 years.
But interest rates being low, that doesn't target home sellers. It targets buyers to buy. And so prices have gone up. Right. Which increases the likelihood that people are going to sell their house because they now have equity. But I guess it's kind of a chicken or the egg conversation. Right. But I think that right now it's a great time to sell. Prices are at a high since 2007. And if you're wondering whether or not you should sell your house, yes, sell your house. Call me up. Let's do it.
Mike, let me throw you into the middle of that.
Well, if you throw me in, I disagree with both of you guys because what I say is if you want to sell, there is a demand. Sell it now. Sell your home now because we have a lot of buyers. There is a demand. We have low inventory, shortage on inventory. If you list your home, it's gonna sell within 1 week, 15 days maximum. It won't stay on the market. So I would suggest not to wait until February where you're gonna have a lot of other home sellers, your neighbors maybe, next to you, selling their home, and now you're gonna have the problem of you have more competition. Your neighbors, if he's selling his house and his house better than your house, then, guess what? The buyer gonna buy his house, not your house.
We actually agree.
Yeah, now we agree, but I'm going to disagree in regard the interest rate thing.
Yeah.
You said the interest rate is going to go up.
Sure.
So I say interest rate is, I don't think it's going to go up soon, maybe after election or we don't know, but the rates will be stable for maybe the next year. That's my opinion.
Sure.
But if somebody wants to sell his home, especially in East County, I have a lot of buyers and investors, please call me.
Yeah, well, I was reading, and Forbes is saying that 73% of people that are market experts are saying that there will be a rate increase in January, February of this 2017. That's
what they said last year.
But that's exactly what I was
last year.
That's what they said last year.
But does it really matter? I think that's my big thing. It has to go up.
I agree with you. It has to go up because I know it's very low, 3.5, 3.2. It's very low.
And drowning, right?
Yeah. Because of what happened in Britain when they,
and it does. It has to go up.
Yeah,
I think my thing is, does it really matter unless it's a significant uptick? I mean, still, 3%, 4%, 5%, 6% is free money. It's free money, when you're buying a house as a buyer over a 20-year, a 30-year, 15-year, however you want to do it. It's free money. It's fantastic to buy at 3%, amazing to buy at 5%, absolutely a home run if it's at 6%. I'll take that any day of the week.
I just got a 15-year fixed on my house at 2.75%.
Yeah.
So I mean, like the interest, it's a great time to buy. because interest rates are so low, inventory is low, but there's going to be a problem in any market. And it's a great time to sell because prices are so high.
That's right.
But people are so worried about whether or not, our price is going to come down in January, February. Do you want to buy a house? Can you afford it? And I think that at the end of the day, you just got to throw all this other garbage out and think, can I afford it? Do I want to buy? And is it going to be a smarter financial decision for me to buy than it is for me to rent?
Over the long term.
Over the long term.
It's an investment.
Yeah.
Right. Or you could say it's a hedge.
Yeah, it's a hedge.
absolutely.
Which is technically, I guess, what it really is. It's a hedge. You're hedging your housing costs by saying, I'm going to fix it in at this much.
Sure.
So I don't have to worry about rents doing this.
Yep.
But I'll disagree with all three of you.
Ooh, let's do it.
Yes.
Ooh, get fancy.
Rates do not have to go up.
Okay.
I agree.
Well,
They
you
don't.
agree with him.
Yeah.
They don't have to go up.
We're all getting very
Ever.
confused about who we agree and disagree with.
Rates do not have to go up because mortgage rates are based on the mortgage bond market.
Sure.
And as long as there's demand for a fixed return, which there is because banks aren't giving you anything. I mean, there's no place to get a fixed return. Mortgage bonds are the best place for big money to go to get a fixed return. Even if it's only 3%, that's good. If you're playing with a lot of cake, if you got a few $100 million, 3%'s okay.
Yep.
You're making enough money. But if you have $10,000 in your savings account, 3%'s not enough. You got to do something else to try to get to that retirement goal.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the big money is still going to be paying and still buying those mortgage bonds at those low rates, and maybe even lower. So I could see rates go lower. It does make sense.
It does make
But
sense.
until that demand, until there's some other place to go to make better, safer return than that, that money's still going to be there.
Absolutely.
And rates are going
And
to
it's,
stay low.
again,
and it could be
because-
forever.
Sure, it could be, but the thing is I mean, when you look at the real estate market and what it's been doing and what it's done historically, at some point or another, things are going to cool off a little bit. And everybody's saying that we're going to see a dip and that it's not going to be what it was in 2007 and 2008, but there is going to be a dip. And then how do we see ourselves out of that unless we do it artificially, which is what you were talking about earlier? How do we see ourselves out of that if we already have interest rates at 3.6%?
So when I look at interest rates, I think interest rates have to go up for a very different reason than actually trying to spur a market. But that's I don't think we have enough time to talk about all that here.
Let's talk about it.
Not enough time. But what I would say is that I do agree. They don't have to come up when you look at big money and the way that they're leveraging their capital in order to get a return.
Yeah.
They absolutely do not have to go up, and they will take less. And when you look at the fact that the Fed is releasing cash on top of the cash that's lent against, so banks are able to make 60% return on your money anyways. And there's always a return to the people that are investing, whether it's a garbage market where they're tanking out and people are there's always going to be a return for big money. So to me, in my opinion, I think it's going to go down. I don't think there's going to be a rise. There doesn't need to be in interest rates. The only reason we should have rise in interest rates is for the overall betterment of the GDP as far as a nation and spurring job growth. But as far as needing, nope. I don't think it needs to be there at all.
To answer your question, even if the interest rate goes up in next year, what's going to happen? I always, the question is said, if he's going to sell or not. So let him sell now, and that's it.
No, I agree with
Totally. All right, guys. Great conversation. Let's jump into topic number two. This one's for buyers. If you're a buyer, it's better to wait until the next downturn to buy a home, as prices have just simply gotten too high in San Diego County, and they will have to come down at some point. David, agree or disagree?
Well, I think that we're kind of going right back where we were with the last topic that we had talked about. But in my opinion, prices are only going to go up. I think that inventory is low. Inventory has been low for a couple of years now. There's a lot of people that have been waiting to buy for prices to go down, and they've been severely disappointed. So I think that if that's the reason why you're waiting to buy is for prices to come down, you may want to seriously rethink where the market has been trending for the last couple of years.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest issues is because people said, well, I'm going to wait. Prices are too high, and then they keep going up and up and up and up.
Sure.
And so now you're just building a backlog of people who are waiting.
That's
right.
And the more people you have waiting, the less opportunity there is for prices to go down, because as they start to come down a little bit, you've got all these people waiting, and someone's going to probably jump in there.
Sure.
So there's more people to jump in. That's the biggest support mechanism that we have in this market right now.
Well, I would say it's no different than on the
sidelines.
seller side too. We have a ton of sellers, and we talk to people while we were driving here. I had a phone call, and they're always waiting to sell, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to make more money. If we hold out a little bit longer, we can make more money."
Sure.
I think that's the biggest issue with San Diego right now. Lack of inventory is because people are trying to hold out to see if they can get more, or they're coming up with, I went on an appointment a couple weeks ago, 20 homes, comps, all the same. His next door neighbor, same house, 675. I want 800,000. Where'd you get that number? Zillow said so.
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's worth more because it belongs to me.
Zillow was Z, like
it's
a fake one.
Well, I think you said it best.
Yeah.
Can you afford it? Can you afford it, and do you want it? And if you can afford it and it makes sense, because I think the big one is hedging against, which is what you said, hedging against rentals. Rentals are just going to continue to skyrocket. Yes. Whether it's what was it last year? 16 or 18%, I think, in San Diego. I couldn't remember what the rise was.
It was a huge number. I think it was more.
Huge.
It might have been more than that.
It was insane. And it's only going to it's going to get better if you own rentals. It's going to get better.
People can't even afford to rent a house.
That's right.
And people can't, and they're being priced out of apartments. And so I've talked to several people where they're like, well, I'm renting a house with a couple of other people, and they're adults. Mm-hmm. And so we're in a situation, and of course, there's not a lot of children that are renting houses with other people. That might be a little bit weird, but it's we're too old. The generation that is our generation. They're looking to buy, but they're being priced out of the market. And I'm sorry to say so, but it's only going to get worse. Mm-hmm. The weirdest conversation that I've had probably in my real estate career is one that keeps popping up. I've had people telling me, I want to sell while inventory is low, and then I want to buy when prices go down. And I'm like, well, how long are you planning on renting? A, and B, if you're selling your house and buying another house, you're gonna get it on one end or the other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're buying in a market that's here. You're also selling in a market that's here. So you're going to make a little bit more money, but you're going to have to spend a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I disagree. If you are a buyer and you want to buy now. Like especially if your rent equal to your payment or maybe less, but it's better to own a home now, and then you start paying your payments and build the equity, and then it's a tax write-off or deduction where you can get. Yeah, they don't.
You're not making your money just one way.
Yeah, especially if you qualify now to buy a home, it's the best because the interest rates are low, and even now you are saying maybe the prices are gone up. If you compare it to 2005 and 6 market, it still didn't reach the top.
Sure.
I feel like if you can buy now, buy and don't wait.
You're disagreeing with me, but I think we're both
disagreeing with the topic.
Disagreeing with the topic. Okay, then we're on the same page. We agree. All right, Mike. Let's go all the way.
Very nice. Very nice. First time. Very nice. Very nice. Well, yeah, I think that's the big issue with the buyers. There's two things that you said there, especially on the rental side. Mm-hmm. So we have two layers underneath this market right here that would have to get broken through. The market in 2007, 2008 was very fragile. There were no layers underneath.
Right.
Sure.
The rental market was a joke. People couldn't give away their homes to rent them to people. I mean, houses were renting for $1,800, brand new, because people had negative amortization payments that they were making on it. That's not here anymore. Right. So you have this two really big layers underneath of pent-up demand, people who've been waiting, the fence sitters, and then you also have the people who are renters who are paying tons of money.
Oh yeah,
sure.
To rent, and rents are going up. And every time someone's rent gets raised, it's a trigger.
Yep.
So every year when you get your new lease and rent went up another $100, that's a trigger for those people to go, sick of this.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's only one way to stop it.
Yeah.
So you have those two nice layers underneath this marketplace that will probably hold quite a bit of downside action. Mm-hmm. How much will it hold? I don't know. But it's nice to know that there's a couple layers underneath it.
So what do you think is the fix? Because this is something that David and I have talked about a couple times. I personally believe what's really going to adjust the market is spec builders and developers have to come out. And the price points are almost there. I know we're starting to do a lot of development deals and developers coming in. We just listed a property last week, $7.8 million, and it's basically a development land deal. And we have 2 more right behind that. I think that's really where we need to go to adjust where the market is, to create a natural drop, as a healthy drop in overall pricing and create availability. I believe availability is the only way to fix this. But California won't get out of its own way because every time they turn around and come up with a new way of juicing developers and builders.
Yeah, they do.
I read a report
That's the key.
Yesterday, and was talking about how builders' confidence is higher than it's been in the last 7 years, but that it's still much lower than it needs to be. And so when you're looking to buy, look at builders. What are the builders doing? Are the builders building out? Because people look into markets and they say, well, is it a good time to buy? Well, look around. What's being developed? If there are builders building, they don't build houses to have them sit empty. So if you're looking at all the big builders and they're building and they're creating more inventory and they're moving inventory, it's a good time to buy. If they're frozen and they're not building, and you've seen the same tract sitting half developed for the last 6 months, then don't buy. Follow smart money.
And that's just one of the rules of thumb, right? Anything else to add, Mike?
Well, as we explained in the topics, if you are a seller, you want to sell it now. I know it's the end of the year, but it's the best time to sell because we have low inventory. And if you are a buyer and want to buy, still is the best time to buy because interest rates are low, and if you can't afford the loan, then do it.
If you qualify,
if you qualify,
you should buy.
Yeah,
fellas, fantastic debate. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you.
The goal is to keep the Chargers. This stadium issue is now in its 14th.
What's never been, here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to pay for it. And so that's businesses attached. There's a lot of people saying, the Chargers already moved to LA. No, I'm not one of those.
The Chargers really want to stay here.
Distractions
They do have a little
are
ill will
not
in
helpful to get things done. It's in everyone's best interest. It's in San Diego's best interest for us to solve this.
Not just for Chargers fans, but the public in general.
Hi, Claudia here with Smarter San Diego TV. I am walking and talking in downtown San Diego with local residents. We want to know yes or no on Measure C. Do we want a Charger Stadium in downtown? Let's go find out. What do you do downtown?
I'm a realtor with the condo showroom on the corner of 10th and J.
So I run the rustic meatballs. We make meatballs basically from scratch. So we baked and cook meatballs all day long.
I've been down here approximately since the middle of April with my store, and I live just right up the street, and so it's super convenient.
So as a realtor in downtown, tell me your take on the Charger Stadium in downtown.
Well, I'm obviously very excited about it with the growth that it's going to bring to downtown. I would love the Chargers to come home. It's like we got to get them out of Qualcomm and where they need to be.
What do you think that would do for downtown San Diego?
It's revenue. That's all kinds of good stuff. We're going to have travelers come down, and it's just going to make San Diego better than what it is now,
As a business owner, that'd be really great because specifically in East Village, we need more and more activities to drain people. Like in the last 6 years, I saw all the improvement made in East Village and my business was growing up with the same. But right now it's still underwater. We need more.
Something that you don't hear as much about is more of a kind of feet on the ground perspective of what the the stadium will bring to a lot of the local businesses down here. Even in down times for restaurants and retail, that will really get a big boost from the stadium being here. I think that's really important to understand for the growth of downtown.
I'm actually against it. I feel like San Diego downtown is already quite built up, and I really don't think that there's much room to compete with like Petco and have a Charger Stadium. So I truly believe that it's probably better in Mission Valley.
We need more activities, more business, more events in order to drain more and more people and not just one street with few business. So as a business, would be awesome.
But we're talking about the Charger Stadium, right? I am not a sports fan, so I apologize if I offend anybody. I think to spend that kind of money on a new stadium seems a little ridiculous. You guys make a lot of money, sports people. You make tons of money. You guys shouldn't have to have a new stadium just to get your fire stoked back up. I think you guys need to kick ass and do your thing. I apologize if I just cussed on camera. Yeah, no new stadium, just keep doing it, and let's spend money on the right stuff, on like building up our infrastructure and our streets and making things safer.
Tell me your opinion on Charger Stadium in downtown.
I think it's over. It's not good enough for the Chargers. I think for parking wise, I think the Qualcomm is just fine. There's a lot of money in the parking at Qualcomm, and that's history. Downtown is just too small.
And what's your opinion on a new Charger Stadium in downtown San Diego?
I think it would be great. I think that the more business that could be down here, the growth, the construction, I think it's all positive. Can't see any downfalls to it. So I can see this just being one unique eclectic neighborhood that doesn't exist anywhere else, so keep growth going.
Building the stadium downtown would overcrowd downtown. I think Petco Park and Gas Lamp and the Convention Center has revitalized downtown, and that's enough.
Do you see any downside to it?
Not really. Yes on C.
No on C.
Yes on C.
No on C.
Yes on C.
No on C.
No on C.
Yes on C.
Well, sounds like San Diego is pretty divided. We definitely need your vote on November 8th so we can finally find out. Will the Chargers be in downtown San Diego? That's it for us here at Smarter San Diego TV. See you next week, same time, same channel.
Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derek. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go.
No, I can't either. I'm starting to get hangry and have way too much stuff to do today. Claudia, you've got this, right?
Sure, guys, I would love to. I'll get right to work.